day to you, sir.
Good day to you too.
Thank you. Good day to you as well.
Thank you.
Now, today we shall be discussing which of the Skylanders games has the overall best story. And obviously that game would be
Spyros
Superchargers. Oh. I see.
What's going on, everybody? Here today we're going to be talking about the Skylanders games again. Now this time we're going to be ranking them in order from which ones had the best story to which ones had the worst. And if you agree or disagree with me, let me know down in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Coming in at last place and at number 6 we have Skylanders Imaginators. Now why is this? Well, fight me all you want on this, but there is no story. Yes, there's chaos, and then there's mind magic, and the brain, and the Doomlanders. But what do they really accomplish? Perhaps I'm exaggerating. What I mean to say is this is a very mishandled story, because its concept really could work. It's just a shame that they really made Chaos out to be a complete idiot in this game. Normally he's a fool, but here he's just an idiot. What do I mean by this? The Skylander snuck into his fortress using a birthday cake on a day that wasn't his birthday, and he fell for it. I can imagine him using mind magic would look like this. And for a game that's all about using your imagination, it feels very lacking in that department, actually. I mean, I suppose we have the custom characters, the senseis, and the Doomlanders, but what else is there, really? I mean, what about this game would truly stand out from any other Skylanders game? I mean, we have levels with new waves of enemies, again. We have Chaos as the main villain, again. He's got a new powerful item, again. And to top it off, throughout the cutscenes, the Skylanders we're stuck with the most are the original ones, not even new ones. Am I being too harsh on it? Maybe. Let's just move on to number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have Skylanders Swap Force. Some people love this game, some people hate it. I personally thought it was okay. Now, what was the story of this game? Essentially, Chaos has come into possession of a new item he refers to as Petrified Darkness that he plans on using to evilize a creature of great power, thus turning Skylands evil itself after a ritual involving a volcano happens. There were 4 beings total, but Chaos only needed to evilize one of them in order for his plans to succeed. So throughout the game he continuously tries to evilize one of them, but to no avail. And we're finally introduced to some of Chaos's family, his mother, who ultimately ends up getting trapped inside a mirror. And we never see her again. Which, actually, her introduction kind of confused me, because at the end of Giants, wasn't there a cutscene where Chaos enters his castle and says, "Mother?" But now, here in Swap Force, she's introduced again? Did she arrive, leave, then come back later? What happened there? Also, where does Chaos keep that mirror? But let's move on to some other problems the story has. With the Petrified Darkness, do you need to be blasted with it, or does it just need to touch you? Because when Chaos transformed, all it did was fall on him, but with any other creature, they had to be blasted with it. And its effects are quite easy to wear off, considering all you have to do is hit them really hard. Let's just move on to our number 4 spot. Coming in at number 4, we have Skylanders Giants. Now, how could the sequel to Spyros' Adventure be so low on the list? Well, it doesn't really feel like its own game, but rather in addition to Spyros' Adventure. You see, what happened was, in the last game, Chaos was sent to Earth, and in this game, we pick up with him now on Earth in a toy store with Skylanders. But wait, these are toy Skylanders. I thought the other Skylanders were already in Skylands. Unless you're telling me that kids need to take the Skylanders, put them on the portal, then they get to Skylands. But doesn't that mean in the previous game, shouldn't they be disappearing and reappearing? But I guess that would be the gameplay. But wait, do these kids play the same games we play? Are there Skylander games for Skylander games? Is this Skylanderception? So wait, if the kids in the Skylanders universe play the same games that we play of the Skylanders, then doesn't that mean they're watching that same cutscene right now, which would have happened already in their universe? How does this work? While we wait for the universe to implode now, let's talk about the rest of the story. What mainly happens is, Chaos brings back to life an old Archean robot that he plans on using to find the lost city of Arcus, take the gauntlet, and control its army. Which raises a few questions, because in the last game, didn't we already find a part of Arcus? Or at least its armory? And aren't two of the original Skylanders Archeans themselves? Shouldn't they know where the lost city is? Or at least be able to help them find it? Couldn't we go back to that armory and search for clues on how to get there before chaos? And the whole concept with the Giants is fine, but at the end of the day, they're really just bigger Skylanders. There's not too much separating them from regular Skylanders aside from their size difference. Coming in at number 3, we have Skylanders Trap Team. Now, what makes this game different from all the other games? Well, instead of it just being Chaos, Chaos's minions, and maybe some side bad guys along the way, this game introduces us to a new team called the Doom Raiders, who have escaped from Cloudcracker Prison, and now the Skylanders have to recapture them. And upon their recapture, you are now able to play as them because they have been reformed. It even brings back an older enemy, the Chompy Mage, which further ties the games together, as it now introduces more threats, besides just Chaos, further expanding the lore of Skylands. As each Doom Raider seems to have a different elemental type, which, in a way, kind of makes them like evil Skylanders. Even down to the fact that you can play as them if you're able to capture them. It also introduces us to a new material referred to as Traptanium. Does it come out of nowhere? A little bit, but then again, this is also a game series with a bunch of toys that come to life, so I buy it. One thing I think the game could have done better, though, is instead of having all the Doom Raiders fight the Skylanders individually, they should have worked together as a team. What I mean by this is towards the beginning of the game, you see them all together, and then, basically, throughout the game, they're all just going their separate ways. I just think there could have been some instances where it could have been a double boss battle, like two of the Doom Raiders working together to try and stop the Skylander. I think it could have been a pretty interesting concept. But, as is, it was alright, and I did like how the Traptanium gave me one of my favorite Chaos boss battles in the end. But now, coming in at number 2, we have Skylanders Spyros Adventure. Now, I'm sure some people are going to disagree with me on this. What's that ticking? Okay. Now I'm sure I can talk about this. So why is Spyro's Adventure only in second place? Well, while the game was good, the story was rather basic. Now don't get me wrong, it was good, and it would introduce us to Chaos for the first time, but it becomes rather repetitive. Or at least in terms of what the Skylanders have to do becomes repetitive. Because while it was pretty cool to see Chaos score a victory so early on in the game, the rest of the game is essentially just cleaning up the pieces from his destruction. And every single level is just fetching another item, just about, for the Core of Light. And while there's nothing wrong with sticking to a main objective, I just feel like it could have expanded just a little bit more outside of gathering items. But gathering these items do lead to some pretty cool levels, so I can't complain about it too much. Although I do wish Chaos was a little bit more involved outside of the occasional boss battle and just constantly saying, "Oh, the darkness is spreading." But the final level does end with a pretty epic boss fight between the Skylanders, Chaos, and his Hydra, so I suppose that's pretty cool. It just seems like something from this game was missing, which is what leads us to our number 1 spot. Coming in at number 1, we have where it's probably not the best Skylanders game, but definitely has the overall best story in my opinion. We have Skylanders Superchargers. Now, before you send another T-800 to kill me, let me explain. You have to admit, in every other game except for this one, Chaos doesn't really develop. Some people might argue the Skylanders also don't develop, so why should it matter? Well, with the Skylanders, there's just so many of them, it would take forever to develop them. But what about Flynn and the crew, or Eon? Well, that's also true, but they're already on the side of good. What are they supposed to develop into in such a short amount of time? But in Superchargers, all bets are off with this story. In the beginning, we start with Chaos, and he has completely done what he's always wanted to do. He has conquered Skylands. He's sent the Skylanders away. He has Eon captured, as well as any companions that might be able to help us. He has won, all thanks to the power of a new mega weapon he has developed. The Sky Eater, which slowly worked its way into Chaos's position, until Chaos is left as nothing more than a minion that he once would control. And he's faced with a dilemma of either sticking with his destiny and conquering Skylands, or ignoring it and conquering more. And in the end, he decides to stick with destiny, and be ridding himself of the very thing that tried to control him. However, one of the greatest sacrifices I've ever seen had to be made first before this could happen. Just try and find one moment better than that in any of the Skylanders games. So if you agree or disagree with my rankings, let me know down in the comments below. Now if you excuse me, I've got some anti-Superchargers fans to deal with. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, because this might take a while.